Good evening, Texas bikers and bikers all across the nation. This is Texas Biker Radio. We have a special tonight. We're going to be introducing you to a sheriff's candidate in Parker County. And and first of all, Mel and Darrell, I would like to take a moment to thank everybody for their prayers and their well wishes. I have gone through cancer surgery, and I'm on the mend. And so I pulled the camera back far enough to where you can't see my stitches, and put it at an angle where, I think I think the audience might enjoy. But Mel Robbins, OG, you want to go ahead and take it away?
Okay, we're here tonight with a candidate for sheriff of Parker County. He's running on the Republican ticket against the existing high sheriff, and our guy's name here is Darrell Hull. Now, you need to know that he served in law enforcement. He has served in law enforcement for over 25 years. In 1993, he started his career in Springtown as a reserve patrol officer. In 94, he joined Weatherford PD as a reserve patrol officer, and in 96, he joined the Kennedale Police Department as a patrol officer and was eventually promoted through the ranks to captain where he currently serves. He believes it's time for change that supports leadership through trust and transparency. And I would say amen to that.
Yeah.
He's lived in Parker County my whole life, or his whole life. He grew up with important family values that are important to Parker County. Faith, fairness, and honesty were a few of his guiding principles. Parker County heritage is based off of some of the same values. Darrell, do you have anything you'd like to add to that about yourself?
Well, you've done a pretty good job there. That was very nice. I would like to add a couple of things. I have been in Kennedale for the last 23 years. During that time, I have managed from a patrolman through our field training program as a patrol sergeant, administrative sergeant. I've done grant administration, grant coordinator. I've implemented our in-car computers. I implemented a lot of new technology over the years. And I currently, one of the two biggest things that I feel that plays a role with me becoming the next sheriff for Parker County is our communications center and our jail operations that we contract with Mansfield Police Department. Those two things have been a great assets for us, improving our quality of life for our residents. And with that experience, I believe I can bring that to the sheriff's office in Parker County. That's going to benefit everybody, like Toledo, Willow Park, Hudson Oaks, Springtown, Reno. Some of those areas, they count on the sheriff's department for communications, and all of them count on that for our jail operations. So I got extensive background in that area, which will be extremely beneficial for Parker County in our future. And I think it's important to share that. I also hold certifications and master certifications from the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement Standards from the state of Texas. That's the highest level you can maintain. I'm very proud of that. Also, Kennedale is part of the Texas Commission or Texas Police Chief Association program for the recognized agencies within the state of Texas. Kennedale just now become the recognized for the third time. So for 12 years, we have been recognized by the Texas Police Chief Association of being and using the best practices that set forth by Texas police officers professional. So that's very important to me also, and that's going to be a great program that I will bring to Parker County to show our transparency to our residents and the quality of life for Parker County and anybody that comes to visit.
Okay, great. It sounds super. Now, before we get into the real meat of what we want to talk about with you tonight. I want to bring to everyone's attention out there, please do not wait for the general election to go vote. This is important. We all know that the existing sheriff out there has pulled some real garbage here this last year, and you have to get out and vote in the primaries. Darrell is running against the sheriff in the primary for the ticket in the general election. So the existing sheriff has to be beat in the primary. Please share this program with everybody you know in Parker County. It's time for all you bikers out there in Parker County to rise up just like you did in Waco. Get out there, vote in this primary election. They're voting early now. The primaries are actually the first week in March. I think it's March 3rd. Correct me if I'm wrong, Popeye.
You're right.
But, you can vote early, but you have to vote in the primaries. We need to get the existing sheriff out so he's not on the ticket. Okay. That being said, what I'd like to do, Darrell, is I want to ask you, basically I'm going to make some statements to you that might contain a question or two, but what we're interested in are what are your thoughts about the statement. And my first statement would be, this last year, we have had an unprecedented amount of bikers that have been stopped and profiled. That's in the state of Texas. Now, especially in Parker County, the Parker County Sheriff's Department has taken bikers to jail over minor traffic violations that the public is guilty of every day, like no turn signal, over the white line, etc. Now, we all know that law is on the books, but we certainly don't see sheriff's deputies hauling moms and minivans to jail because they failed to signal, but yet they're doing it to the bikers. What do you think about that?
Well, anytime you're doing any type of profiling, there should be some backbone to that. Should be some reasoning for it. If you're talking in general of a biker or anyone, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're going down a roadway and you fail to use your turn signal, you get stopped by a law enforcement officer. It should be just like any other traffic violation. You should have the opportunity, to face whatever that charge is. There are times where an officer may make an arrest, but it's based off of other criteria, not as a profile. Profiling is illegal in Texas. That shouldn't be done. Doesn't matter, what the circumstances are. You have the right of due process, and that's for everybody. It's not just for the minivan mom or whoever else you want to identify. You can be a biker, gang member. It doesn't matter unless there's particular say a task force or something that's taking place that's scrutinized, or not scrutinized, but in an area that's been concentrated on for a certain reason. Other than that, on a regular everyday traffic violation of a violator, they have the right for due process just like anybody else does, and it shouldn't be any different from that.
Okay. The second thing I want to talk about is, and it happened again in Parker County, we had a biker that stopped at a convenience store. There happened to be a sheriff's deputy there, and he told the biker he was going to take him to jail for what he was wearing. He had a cut on with a patch. Now, patches are constitutionally protected trademarks. The deputy followed him out of the convenience store and parking lot, and the biker got a little nervous, and he pulled back into the parking lot. And the deputy immediately arrested him, took him to jail, and impounded his motorcycle. Now, the sheriff's explanation for this was his deputies lacked tact. If so, do you think this reflects on the training his deputies are receiving out of that office?
But that's a really good question. I wish I could give you a particular direct information regarding to it, since it's not nothing that I witnessed myself. But my opinion of what you're telling me, it sounds like it's not a lack of tact. It's lack of training and lack of knowledge of possibly even the law. One, what was a violation? Because once again, we go through training as far as profiling, what to do, what not to do, what's legal, what's not legal, and that has to play a role in what the sheriff or the deputy or a police officer's mindset of going out and enforcing these laws, which is just exactly that. If he was arrested of it, what was he arrested of? And that has nothing to do with tact. It has to do with the law and law itself. We need to apply the law the same to everybody. We have to be fair, and the officer has discretion on those types of violations of traffic. So if an officer goes out there and makes a traffic stop, he has the discretion of what he wants to do. Issue a citation, even though he can write a warning. And at times, he may even need to make an arrest, but that's under circumstances that, man, are far, far out that you need to do that. A lot of times, identity may come into the factor. If maybe if the person's telling you a story, or we can't find out who the identifying person is, that might be a tend to make an arrest. But generally, outside of that, or just a couple of different circumstances, generally you wouldn't make an arrest based off the information you're telling me.
Okay, well, yeah, and we kind of believe that the sheriff just, for whatever reason, appears, I think, to be a little jacked up against bikers for whatever reason, and that's why we're talking to you, quite frankly.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure you're probably pretty well aware of the Texas criminal gang database. And as bikers and club members, we understand what drives motorcycle profiling outside of confusing, contradicting laws. In a recent public statement, the DPS said that Texas gang databases do not identify one as a gang member, only that there is a possibility of, and the information is not to be used in a court of law. Yet they seem to be using this criminal gang database when they stop somebody to identify them as a gang member, stripping their gun, and if they have a CDL, or not a CDL, a CHL, revoking that on the spot. What's your opinion of that?
Well, that's something that shouldn't dictate what an officer is doing. Once again, it's just like you indicated, that information is confidential, and it's information to help the officer investigate what's taking place. It does not and is not the law on it. It's information to help us with an investigation. It's not for us to criticize or put any weight to a probable cause, because that's not what that is. It's a tool for us to help keep everybody safe, including the officer and the person that they're talking to. That shouldn't be happening. That's information for the officer, and it's not probable cause. It's for us as a investigation part. If the person is being an upbiding citizen and doing everything right, there's no reason for the officer to go beyond what that is and let the person go.
Okay, good answer. I like your opinion on that. Now, what's your opinion on for-profit jails? Just so you know, it's our opinion that for-profit jails are recipes for corruption everywhere they exist. Taxpayers are hooked as the county commissioners chase dollar marks that are not there. The first casualty is the sheriff's department and the sheriff himself. Now, we speak historically about Waco County, or Waco, but what's your feeling?
Well, I'm not for-profit companies. I don't think that's necessarily right. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not that I'm against a contract for companies to come in and manage the jail operation. I don't think it's the right answer. I think the right answer is for the county sheriff to come in and manage the jail. That should be priority. Sometimes a company to come in, and if we do a feasibility study to make sure if it's beneficial for the county, the residents, and for that company. The thing that I don't like about a for-profit company, they come in and they want to mandate what a sheriff will do. That I'm 100% against. The state constitution and the laws dictate that the sheriff is 100% responsible for the jail and the inmates. A sheriff cannot come in and delegate his authority. It is 100% his responsibility, and he needs to take control and manage the jail the way it sees fit. Now, if the problem that I have with right now with Parker County Sheriff's Office is they have a company called LaSalle Corrections that's managing that operation. They have been scrutinized for years and years for lack of management, lack of training, lack of documentation, and falsifying government documents in reference to their standards. And that's not acceptable. We've had some incidents that's happened in that jail. Some of them have been involved with deaths. I think that something needs to be done in that. LaSalle has shown that they have a history of bad management. And if they have a history of that, that means there's a problem. And we shouldn't employ somebody or give for-profit for a company that can't get it right. There's so many other companies out there that can come in and manage that in a legal, in a lawful, and fair way. And our government should do that. That should be a priority. If we can save one life, it should be worth it. And that's my goal, is to come in and take command of that jail. And I'll present it to the commissioner's court saying, hey, this is my stand on it. This is what I'm making my recommendation for. This is what we need. This is the best for our residents. This is the best for our county, financially, all the way across the board. You know, we're providing a safety to everybody, not just one person, not one group, everybody. And that's being fair and saying, this is what I stand for. And if you do that, I believe the commissioner's court will back the sheriff. It's the sheriff's responsibility to come in and say that. Say, this is what's best for public safety. This is best for our communities. This is best for our residents, and it's best for our visitors. And we're going to keep everybody safe by doing that.
Okay, great. Now, I think in my final statement to you here.
I got one more.
What's that?
I got one more I want to inject here.
Okay.
Darrell.
Yes, sir.
Our motorcycle club, who is not a support club for anyone except for the Constitution, this is what we do. We generally show up on the scene when someone's constitutional right has been violated, whether they be a biker or just a citizen or even a city, like we've had in Sand Branch, Texas. In those cases, we get involved. Now, in the process here, we've had one of our members that ended up in that gang database. And over the years, our investigations have shown that the gang database itself is full of erroneous data. In other words, people that do not belong in it. Now, here, since it was easy to check and see if you can check and see if you're in the gang database. But now, they've made it more difficult now that they know we're checking. And like we said, those gang databases, the DPS has said they're not to be used in criminal cases. That the information is, like you said, is private, is for law enforcement, and it's a tool. We understand all that. But what we see is a law enforcement entity that has no accountability. None. When we try to find things out, it's all secret. When we try to just something simple as see if you're in the gang database, it's secret. It's and they make it more and more difficult unless you hire an attorney to defend yourself. And you know, we just what we're looking for is to be treated fairly. You know, if you've done something bad out there, you may belong in that gang database. But in our case, in our club's case, we're guilty of nothing. We're guilty
Absolutely.
of nothing. And so we have a problem with this gang database, and we're looking to address that later on. I just wanted you to know kind of where we're coming from, what we're all about. And OD, go ahead, please.
Yeah, and I definitely understand what you're saying, and honestly, I can't disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for years, decades. Unfortunately, back in those days, motorcycle gangs got a bad rap, and rightfully so. To be quite honest with you, on some of them, not everybody, and I hate to put everybody in that category.
Right.
And I think we all can come to a conclusion that there were some biker gangs that were bad people, and you guys as a group got a bad name for it, and some of you actually paid the cost for it, and not even understand why an officer's doing that. And honestly, sometimes the officer may not have known why they were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they just thought they were doing the right thing. But you know, motorcycle gangs are kind of like law enforcement. We have to learn as we go through life and understand the changes and our society, how it changes. That we're no longer categorized as one group. You know, we've moved on to where we're individual, and you need to be treated as an individual. You need to be treated for who you are. And I think that's very important for today's policing, is that we can't group people together. It's kind of like my family. You know, there's 5 people in my family, and I don't want somebody to judge me based off of what my brother done. I'm just because he's being bad doesn't mean I'm bad, or I'm doing the wrong thing, or making bad judgments or bad decisions. And I think from us moving from decades ago to now, policing is the same way. We have to come up and learn what society is holding us accountable for. And we have to. And since the incident in Missouri, people hold us accountable for our actions. And it's imperative that people do that. Because if you don't hold us accountable and police us, then we have actions that shouldn't be taking place. And that's the same thing with the motorcycle club or any other club. Mm-hmm. That group got a bad name, even though there's good people inside that gang or that group or anything like that. And we have to learn to show people accountable for their actions, not as a group. And I think that's imperative for us to move forward and learn that. And I think it's policing is getting there, especially in the Metroplex. To be honest with you, it's kind of hard for me to talk about Parker County or any other place. But, in Kennedale and the Tarrant County area, I think we've done a great job because that's what I'm accustomed to. I know how Kennedale operates, and we treat people with dignity and respect. And then, if there's something happens after that, then we deal with that. But up to the part you're doing something else, you're a person just like I am. We're an individual. We have rights, and we want to be treated that way. We want to be treated fair. We all make mistakes, and sometimes we all make bad decisions. And you know what? And we'll hold ourselves accountable for it. And policing is the same way, and we have to do that. And if we don't hold ourselves accountable, we can't hold anybody else accountable for it. And I think that's some of the things that I can bring to Parker County Sheriff's Office and train people to say, hey, we need transparency, we need to be upfront, and we need to be honest, and we need to prove that. And the only way to do that is to be a part of the community and let people understand and know who we are. And it doesn't matter if you're a biker or you're, a soccer mom or whoever you are. It doesn't matter. We should come together, and I think it's an imperative for our residents, no matter where you live, to understand your police and be a part of them and understand who they are as a person. Just like the officers got to go out and meet the community and say, I know you as a person, not as a gang member or a group or subsidize you for something else. It's imperative that we know and understand each other. And the only way we can do that is to be a part of our community.
There you go. I thank you for those comments. I can't tell you how refreshing that was.
You absolutely covered everything I was going to finally ask you, and you covered it very well. As a matter of fact, you make me want to move to Parker County so I can vote.
Well, I wish you would. This is a battle. We're asking Parker County to vote for our future. Parker County is growing at 5,000 people a year, and this is not just one culture. We have people moving from California, Colorado, all over this country to come to Texas because it's a great place to live and raise your family. And it's imperative that we show these people and the ones that live here to have the Western heritage that say, hey, we welcome you with open arms. We want you to be a part of us, and I want you to know who we are. And we want to sit here and entertain you and be a part of you and say welcome. And if we don't do that, we're setting ourselves up for failure.
There you go. Hey, and one more question that we left out. Second Amendment. Where do you stand on that?
On the Second Amendment?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that's an easy one. It's necessary for us to be able to protect ourselves. In our Constitution, the Second Amendment right gives us the right to do that. To keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and we should take it for exactly what it says. That's important. And particularly in today's society, there more and more is being asked of our citizens to do just that. It doesn't matter if it's crime prevention, you've been able to bear your arms and have a gun in your home or in your car, you have the right to bear arms. Only thing that we ask is that you be an upstanding citizen, and we have that. We have it here in Parker County. We have it here in North Texas. We have it everywhere. And I'm a very strong Second Amendment, pro Second Amendment. I'm not going to let, and I will not, let anybody go to your home and take your weapons. I wouldn't ask that of anybody, because somebody starts coming to my house, they got to fight, and I don't want to fight you. That's a fight that I'll lose. And I think it's important that we be able to keep our Second Amendment.
There you go.
That's great.
You got anything in closing, OG?
No, what I got to say here is I guarantee you I will boost this program on Facebook, Parker County, as soon as it gets posted.
And
well, I can appreciate any help I can possibly get. This is a battle, And it's just time for change. It's time to move to the future, and I have the ability, the understanding, the knowledge, the education, and the training to move us to the front. And I want to be a part of that. And I want to be the Parker County Sheriff.
There you go.
You have things we've been longing to hear from many law enforcement
That's right.
officials.
That's right.
Thank you, and we will certainly do our best to help you.
Awesome. I couldn't ask for anything better. If you guys need anything from me, or if you have questions, Matt, feel free to call me, and I'll do everything I can to answer it. And if I can't answer and I don't have a answer for you, we're gonna get that right answer to you. And if anything, we can talk about it, and we'll see if we can make it better.
There you go.
Good deal. It's all we can ask for.
Appreciate it,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you for the interview.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.